The major streaming platforms have put in an enormous amount of time, energy, and resources to build the OTT landscape that we know and enjoy today. In Hindi cinema specifically, as I've said time and again, today the finest storytelling and craft are all on Hindi streaming shows. The four vibrant industries in the South, however, despite making the most exciting mainstream cinema today, haven't been awarded the same level of attention and consideration when it comes to long-form storytelling. In recent years, there has been more of an effort to churn out passable originals in Malayalam, Telugu and Tamil, but very few have been worthwhile, memorable titles. Amazon Prime Video's Tamil series Suzhal, The Vortex from creators Pushkar and Gayatri remains one of the rare exceptions. In Pushkar and Gayatri's capable hands, a murder mystery is merely an excuse to deep dive into the heart of a small town and examine its people, their problems, their faith, their politics, their way of being. Season 2 gives Sub-Inspector Sakkarai, played by an achingly earnest Kathir, and Nandini, played by Aishwarya Rajesh, a new case to be engulfed by in a new town set against the backdrop of a new festival. Last time the show used the Mayana Kolai festival as a hauntingly effective structure to uncover a series of crimes in Sakkarai and Nandini's hometown of Sambalur. This time there's been a murder in Kaalipattanam during the Ashtakaali festival. Nandini remains behind bars awaiting trial after the events of last season. Her lawyer, Chellappa, played by a commanding Lal, who is also something of a father figure to Sakkarai, is found murdered in his own home. Writer-creators Pushkar and Gayatri, along with directors Brahma and Sarjan K.M., deliver a solid, sincere yet uneven second innings. I like that the makers lead with empathy over empty adrenaline. For all the twisty investigative thrills and revelations, they never let you lose sight that a life has been lost and that these characters are grieving and in pain. But Suzhal's second season feels familiar and relies on the predictable rhythms of what came before. It's not exactly the more evolved, effective, refined, and potent second chapter you'd hope for from a prestige series. Season 1 felt more concentrated and contained, delving into the dark heart and secrets of Sambalur. You got a sense of being within its suffocating, tight-knit community where everyone knew each other's business. But here, aside from being a coastal town with a large fisherman community, you don't really get a sense of Kaalipattanam and its people. You can also now start to see through the design of the series. The festival and religious procession imagery that closed out each episode was haunting and tremendously effective last time. But here it starts to border on gimmicky, when the narrative doesn't bring the thunderous energy cut to more unsettling ritual visuals. As for the central murder mystery, while the broad beats work well, there too the investigation feels more spelt out and underlined, often relying on lazy devices like the use of flashbacks. Sakkarai will interrogate a suspect who had issues with the victim, Chellappa, thus immediately inciting a flashback sequence that's supposed to have us question what we knew about Chellappa. It's always a thrill to watch Pushkar and Gayatri play with perception and perspective. As we saw in Vikram Veda and their Prime Video series Vadandi, they enjoy making us see a character or event a certain way before pulling out the rug from under us entirely. But it isn't as effective here. You can see the effort and manipulation to have us question what we know about the victim. It also doesn't help that I guessed who the big bad guy was halfway through the show. I say that with no sense of pride or smugness. I want to be surprised and kept on edge and thrown off guard. I don't want to see anything coming. Perhaps above all, Suzhal Season 2 has a character problem. Last time, aside from Sakkarai and Nandini, we had a sea of memorable figures. I still remember the bull-headed police chief played by a thunderous Shreya Reddy, or the workers' union leader played by an excellent Radhakrishnan Parthiban. But this chapter isn't able to muster compelling new characters to invest in. What we do get is a mysterious group of 8 young women who claim to have something to do with the crime. But they feel more like concepts and ideas and pawns to the plot rather than fully fleshed out figures with individual identities. The makers also don't seem to know what to do with Aishwarya's imprisoned Nandini this time around. Particularly in the first leg of the series until she gets sucked into the investigation, her arc feels forced and tacked on, and as a result, even Aishwarya Rajesh doesn't seem to quite know what to do with the character. Instead, the majority of the women's prison setting where we spend much of this season is used for messaging. Suzhal has always been a well-intentioned series that wants to examine female trauma and rage. But here, the tell, don't show messaging and mystery narrative don't exactly come together seamlessly. So we get awkward scenes like when a woman is sexually assaulted by a fellow inmate within the women's prison. After she successfully fights off her assailant, instead of recovering or breathing, she immediately and inexplicably launches into a monologue about the psychology and power dynamics of sexual assault. On the flip side, early on we do get certain enjoyable sequences of visual flair. In the third episode in particular, director Sarjan K.M. and DOP Abraham Joseph seem to cut loose and have a blast. We get a great 3-minute long take sequence where we glide through the coinciding chaos of a police station, followed by the interrogation of the 8 women, where the overexcited camera seems to literally dance around the suspects and be on its own trip entirely, and it was a joy to watch. But it's the kind of visual dynamism we never seem to get again in the remainder of the episodes. Shortcomings aside, I remain a fan of this show. I maintain that these are capable hands that know how to craft a compelling season of TV, and I for one still look forward to more intrepid adventures of the everyman Sub-Inspector Sakkarai as he navigates the dark side of humanity while struggling to hold on to his own. You can watch season 2 of Suzhal on Amazon Prime Video. For more reviews like this one, subscribe to The Hollywood Reporter India.